September is National Suicide Prevention Month, and here in Ascension Parish, we want everyone to know that help is always available. VLink provides crisis support, emotional counseling, and community resources 24/7. And today we're joined by Sherrod Crespo, licensed clinical social worker, who is Vice President of External Affairs and Director of Prevent Child Abuse Louisiana, to talk about how their services, including the 988 crisis line, can save lives. Well, thanks for coming over here today and agreeing to talk to us about something that's really important. And yet, when you need help, you need it right then and right now. There's no time to wait or think. And when we talk about crisis, we're talking about first responders. And that's what you guys really are the first responders. So talk to us a little bit about this VLink. What is it anyway?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me on. VLink is a nonprofit. We actually started our roots way back in New Orleans in the time of about the Great Depression as a volunteer agency. And it's just continued to evolve over the decades since then, where now we do operate our 24-hour contact center answering emotional support, crisis intervention, suicide prevention lines, as well as information and referral. We have a wonderful data department as well as resource department, and then great community outreach and also post-vention services for traumatic loss.
Oh, wow. You really cover the gambit. One of the things people probably are most familiar with if they think about suicide crisis prevention, we've maybe seen those signs up there, 988.
Yes.
How does that work? And who's on the other line?
Yeah, great question. So 988 is the 3-digit dialing code for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Formerly, that number was 1-800-273-TALK. Many people might have seen that number before, and that 10-digit number does still work. But all you have to remember now is just 988. And though that is a national line, it is a local service. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is you get routed to your local contact center. So when you dial 988, your calls aren't just going out to wherever. They are actually staying in state to nonprofits in Louisiana that really care about you. So in Louisiana, we have VLink, our nonprofit. We answer kind of like the eastern portion of the state. And then we also have a second 988 center, LACG, that's Louisiana Association on Compulsive Gambling, that answers more in the northwestern part of the state. And we are also each other's backup centers. So should any contact center be experiencing a higher volume, there is a secondary center for those calls to go to. So we have a really low wait time and a really high answer rate within our state, which is wonderful because obviously when you need that support, you want that answer right away. And the people that answer are our trained staff and volunteers. They go through about 200 hours of training, extensive information on skills like active listening, nonviolent communication, motivational interviewing. They are extensively trained in suicide procedures. We very much practice emergency room diversion. I think that's extremely important for our communities to know. I think a lot of people are concerned if they dial 988, we're going to just kind of triage them and send an ambulance out, when really we are there to get the least invasive form of care and what's going to work for you, what's going to help you breathe through what you're experiencing. We never jump to conclusions or assume where you're at with whatever it is that you're struggling with. We are there to listen to you. There are no time limits. There's no agendas. There's no scripts. Just very compassionate, trained, skilled people who want to hear from you.
Do you have any personal stories about experiences with this?
You know, I do actually. I think at VLink, it's very unique because anybody who is now sort of in a supervisory role over the contact center or who, helps to develop our policies and procedures, we've all started out working on the phone lines. I started out as an intern when I was in grad school working on the crisis lines. And it's the most impactful thing I've ever done to be with someone in that moment where they don't know where to turn, but they need help. And when you listen to somebody, because sometimes I think we underestimate how important just listening is, and give them a space to get the gunk out. And at the end of the call, they say, I feel like I can breathe again. Thank you. It's the most amazing thing that you can do. I have taken calls where someone has called me and they have their method of suicide attempt in their hands. They feel like they cannot go forth from that moment, and just helping someone to pause for a second, to breathe through that and get to a point of where they feel like they can put that down and they can choose to keep themselves safe. And then they feel like they're not alone and they can get connected to care. I mean, there's just nothing more powerful than that.
No. And then I know that some people, unfortunately, are the family members or the survivors of people who have committed suicide. I mean, I feel like every day, if I look on social media, there's some young kid who has just, and maybe not young, but I'm seeing a lot of younger people, maybe even in the college age, who are committing suicide, who are going through and successfully committing suicide, and families are posting obituaries. And I don't know if it just happens to be people that I know, but is it more prevalent now? What's going on?
Yeah, it really is. When we're looking at the data around suicide and the studies going on, the way that our brains have been evolving as humans, especially for our younger folks who they don't have their prefrontal cortex like we do as adults, that kind of understands mortality as one thing, how time can change things, all of that. You've got really, really hard emotions going on and not always kind of a place to filter them through. It is a more dangerous time of crisis. And then what we've been seeing now with our age of internet technology, which is wonderful, there are dangers to that people are dying more often from their suicide attempts, where typically before a younger person, first, second, third, even fourth, fifth attempt, it wouldn't be lethal. You can look it up now and see what type of method would be more dangerous. And so it's not so much that more younger people are having thoughts of suicide. I think sometimes it can appear that way because we talk about it more, which is great. But there's a real danger in that the lethality of suicide attempts is really escalating.
And then what happens to those survivors, those family members, those friends, those loved ones? What effort of support do you guys offer for the survivors?
We do offer a survivors of suicide loss support group. I have the privilege of being the facilitator of that support group. It is virtual. We went virtual with the group during COVID, and we found that to actually be really helpful because when you're going through such an intense grief, getting out of the house is just sometimes not an option. So we kept the group virtual and opened it up statewide. So our loss support group is available for any adult anywhere in Louisiana, 18 or older, who has lost any loved one to suicide. We meet every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. on Zoom. Free to join. We have no attendance requirements. Just come when you need to. And to join that group, you could just email me at sos@vialink.org.
That's pretty simple. sos@vialink.org.
Yes.
And then 988, who can call?
Anybody. There are absolutely no barriers to reaching out to 988. We do not force you to give us identifying information. It is confidential. We keep your information extremely private. We know that that is so important. You need a safe space to reach out where you can say the stuff that you are afraid to say to other people. Any age, any demographic, anywhere you are, anybody can reach out to 988. We've had callers as young as 6 and as old as in their upper 80s, and it's for whatever you're going through. Of course, if you're having thoughts of suicide, but also just if you're struggling, you've got something trapped in your head and you don't know who to talk to about it, call 988. There is no wrong reason to call. I say nothing's too big or too small to give 988 a call.
I like that because I think sometimes people probably are hesitant to call because they think maybe I'm not quite at that point, but things have just barreled up in my head and I really don't know if I can take anymore. I know that there is a difficult time for some people to actually get a counselor or support, even though there are online options now. Maybe somebody doesn't have the resources or whatever the case may be, or there's a long wait. But really, when you need help, as you know, Sharon, you need it right now.
Yes. And we really encourage people, though this is called a crisis line, that you don't have to wait till you feel like you're in crisis. Any moment where you're like, I need to talk about this, call us. We are there for that. Even if you need a vent for 5 minutes, that's an easy call. We're there for that. Or if you're in between therapy appointments, you're trying to get connected to a behavioral health resource, 988 also has an extensive statewide resource database of behavioral health resources in Louisiana as well.
Sharon, what a delight to have you on the program today to share some really important information as we go through National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And I want to encourage anybody who's out there to please, if you are struggling at all, this is an available resource to you and your family members. It is available 24/7 by calling, or you can also text 988. This month and every month, we can all take steps to prevent suicide by staying informed, supporting each other, and spreading hope.